Airbnb is reporting that Cubans who rent out their homes to tourists made $40 million over the last 2 years.
But it's been reported companies like Airbnb could be affected by President Donald Trump's new Cuba policy. Local 10's Hatzovella has more from Havana.
Stay at a casa particular or private home in Cuba, and Airbnb says you're contributing about $2,700 to a Cuban citizen. According to a new report, that is the average annual Airbnb income for a Cuban host, which is much more than the average annual Cuban salary of about $300. Since 2015, Airbnb reports that more than 500,000 visitors have stayed at private homes here in Cuba. And then you walk around Havana and you'll notice lots of folks are fixing their homes, hoping that they can get a piece of the pie.
We did a corporate retreat for Netflix last year, which was the first U.S. company to do a corporate retreat here.
Collin Laverty is the founder and president of Cuba Educational Travel, a 5-year-old company that offers all types of travel to Cuba.
You have millions that work directly or indirectly with the tourism sector that are benefiting from the visits of Americans and travelers from other places in the world. So everyone's kind of waiting to see what will happen.
Laverty and others worry a new Cuba policy from President Donald Trump could really damage the inroads made so far, and most importantly, the economic benefits people on both sides are seeing from the burgeoning new relations between both countries.
Whether it's cell phone providers that are now offering roaming services, all the major airlines that are offering daily flights, you have a handful of cruise ships that now have hundreds of stops in Cuba this year, and so all of them would be negatively affected.
Engage Cuba, a lobbying group which pushes better relations with Cuba, recently put out a study that shows reversing Cuba policy would cost the U.S. economy well over $6 billion for the remainder of Trump's term. The group says 12,000 American jobs would be lost.
A wide number of Americans, over 75%, support allowing travel and trade with Cuba.
Right now, there's a bill in the Senate that would lift all restrictions on travel to Cuba. The legislation is supported by more than half the Senate. But a good number of Cuban-American exiles still think President Trump should reverse most, if not all, the policy changes towards Cuba. They insist the Obama administration gave in too many concessions, while the Castro government did not.
With a position of mutual respect and dialogue, that the United States government can sit down with the Cuban government and talk about human rights, can talk about democratic reform, and can push for those changes.
I'm Hatzovella, Local 10 News, Havana.
And we'll see what kind of changes those are.
We'll see, slowly but surely. That's going to do it for Local 10 News at 5:30.
Lauren and Calvin are back for the news at 6.
Okay, thanks a lot.
And right now,